Welcome back to our series of Q&A called Ask Bob. This is an opportunity for me to talk to the Weill Cornell medicine community and answer questions for what's on your mind. I don't prepare the answers to these questions, so you really get me in an off-the-cuff sort of mode, and that's the intent as one of our methods of communication. It's great to do this first series of the new academic year right after Labor Day. I hope that people had a restful and a restorative summer and are coming back to campus, whether you're a student, a faculty member, a staff member, coming back ready to forge ahead into a new year. We're looking forward to seeing everybody over the course of the next few weeks, and let's get going with the questions. Best career advice I've ever received. Well, first off, I'll say I love receiving advice because there's always things that I could use help with. But if there's one piece of advice, I now use this advice to other people, give this advice to other people all the time. Careers are not linear, meaning when you hear somebody, particularly a senior person, introduced, you think they started at, coming out of medical school and they ended up at this great position in a very sort of programmatic, stepwise fashion. That's not the case. All of us have setbacks. All of us have failures. And it's what you do with those setbacks. It's what you do with those failures that really makes a difference. So most careers, up and down. You'd like the overall progress to be forward, but there's going to be some downs and you need to be prepared for it. So careers are not linear. That's the best piece of advice I've heard. Mentorship to me is probably the single most important thing for success in academic medicine. Whether you're a clinician, a scientist, a clinician researcher, an educator, we all need mentors. And I believe and have observed over the years that the best way to get mentorship is through a team-based approach. A team mentorship is what I call it. And take my own career. I'm a clinician researcher. And I have benefited from having a team of mentors. I have people who provide me advice around clinical medicine. I have people who provide me advice and guidance about the clinical content of my science. And then I have people who provide me expertise and insight and mentoring around some of the methodologic issues of my research. Finally, really important to tie team mentorship together is that one person who kind of sees the whole playing field. I call them the professional life mentor. They're the person who really understands where you're trying to go, what you're trying to accomplish. Those are key variables for a mentor. The mentor has to make it about you, not about them. Mentors clearly get something back from their mentees, but the most important distinguishing characteristic of a successful mentor is that when he or she cares more about where you're going than where they're going. Oh, and this must be a follow-up to last month's question about what am I reading and trying to get into whether I'm reading anything from a medical perspective. Rather than commenting on one specific book, what I'd like to comment on are just a series of writers who happen to either be physicians or writing about clinical things. People may know that I'm good friends with the physician author Abraham Verghese, and I love reading Abraham's books. And many of you are familiar with his fiction piece, Covenant of Water, which has been a New York Times bestseller. But go back to the beginning of Abraham's writings and read My Own Country. My Own Country talks about his experience in East Tennessee as a infectious disease doctor at the beginning of what became known as the AIDS epidemic. And it is a very powerful story. I happen to have been an intern and a resident in internal medicine during the early days of the AIDS epidemic and took care of many, many, many patients who were dying from infectious diseases, from unusual cancers, because they had acquired HIV. This was before treatments, antiretrovirals were available. And it was a very difficult time in medicine. The book is incredibly moving. It's a beautifully written book, highly recommended. I think a lot about innovation. I think a lot about entrepreneurship because at the end of the day, I'm a doctor, and I'm a doctor who's thinking about how do we apply this piece of scientific knowledge, this piece of research to the better care of patients. And so I'm really interested in the translation of science into commercial products that can be used to help diagnose disease, that can be used to help treat people. I had the privilege of working in the San Francisco Bay Area at Stanford for 11 years. There is no question it is a corridor of innovation. The Bay Area has people who are forming companies, who are taking ideas and trying to get them into the commercial space. And it is really an energizing, fantastic place to be. I'm from Boston, as you might have picked up from my accent in some of my previous public speaking. And I know that the Kendall Square area in Boston is a fabulous place where innovation is taking place. In New York, we have all the pieces of scientific innovation and commercialization, innovation and entrepreneurship. We've got great science with great institutions. Think about the corridor on which we live on York Avenue. We have New York Presbyterian. We have Hospital for Special Surgery. We have Weill Cornell. We have Memorial Sloan Kettering. We have Rockefeller University, all within about 5 or 6 blocks. We have the science. We also are the world's epicenter for the financial services industry. The money is here. The investment vehicles are here. What we've got to do is better connect all of this in New York City to be able to spawn companies. It has to become part of the culture of the medical institutions where people, not everyone has to do this, but we need people who want to see their ideas get to the next level. We want to see communities build up because it really does take an ecosystem, different skill sets to build innovative products and innovative approaches to taking care of patients or to diagnosing disease. So we've got the pieces in New York City and at Weill Cornell Medicine. And stay tuned. We're going to be talking a lot about this in the years ahead. Managing stress is critically important for all of us. And in our practices as clinicians, in my own practice as a cardiologist, we think about the relationship between stress and disease all the time. There's no question, for example, that there's a relationship between stress and cardiovascular disease, including things like myocardial infarctions or heart attacks. For me, we all need to decompress. And this is a good reminder for me to tell people, you got to take some time off. You got to have some downtime. It's really interesting that we're doing this recording right after Labor Day. And so I hope that people took some time over the last several weeks to decompress a bit, to be with family and friends, to be alone if that's what de-stresses you. Whatever it is that gives you some relaxation. Me, I really like to do 3 things. I love to spend time with my family, particularly my daughters and grandchildren. I love to read and to take time to sit back and have a quiet hour of reading a great book. And I love to exercise. So exercise, reading, time with friends and family, great. They work well for me from a relaxation perspective. You need to find what works for you, but find something. Reducing stress is important.